Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another BTLO replay. Be sure to follow us on X, LinkedIn, or join the Discord server to keep in touch with the BTLO community. Links are in the description box below. Hi, everyone. For this episode, we are going to solve a lab named Ozarks, a medium difficulty SOC lab from Blue Team Labs Online Halloween Trick or Threat 2024. For this lab, we are going to play with Hayabusa, Timeline Explorer, Network Miner, and Warshark. So Ozark Incorporated, known for its security expertise, has been hired to protect the Haunted Festival's digital infrastructure. So the festival has become an interconnected experience where attendees use mobile apps for ticketing, access virtual haunted house simulations, and interact with digital attractions. As the festival approaches, Ozark's SOC analysts begin noticing unusual activity, suggesting that the event has been compromised by a group of sophisticated attackers. So the threat actors are exploiting the digital infrastructure, attempting to disrupt the festival and steal sensitive information. We know that Ruth, who is a part of the main admin group, was targeted. The success of the festival now depends on their ability to identify attackers' tactics, techniques, and procedures, and neutralize the threat before the festival is ruined. Alright, I think the lab is ready, so let's get started. So we are currently in the lab. So before we start, let's check the case artifacts. So artifacts, we have the DC. Artifacts, okay. And workstation, I believe. And workstation. Okay. Artifacts. C. For the tools, we have Hayabusa, Network Miner, Timeline Explorer, and Log Parser, and Wireshark. Okay, so question number 1. So a user received a phishing email containing a zip file, which included a malicious attachment. Upon interaction with the file, the infection chain was initiated. Identify the name of the compromised user. So for this one, since we have this several artifacts here from the DC and the workstation, and we also have system 32 win event logs here. So we are tasked to identify a phishing email containing a zip file, right? That include a malicious attachment. And we are tasked to identify the name of compromised user. So for this one, I think we need to use a tool called Hayabusa, which is an awesome tool. Execute CMD for log analysis. CD desktop, tools, Hayabusa run -h or help. Right. Help. Okay. Hayabusa. Okay, let's do some initial OSINT on how to use Hayabusa for us to proceed with our analysis. So we go into Hayabusa's GitHub, and it's a lot process, but just to understand what commands are we using for this lab, we direct to DFIR timeline commands. So We have a CSV timeline, which extracts all the results into a CSV format. Then you can view it using a CSV viewing software, JSON, level tuning, list profiles, and default profile. So the question is, we are tasked to identify the name of compromised user. Okay. So, and in the case artifacts, we have the DC and workstation. I think this is the artifacts that we are interested in order to answer the first question. So M32, win event, logs. So let's use PowerShell. PowerShell. Okay. So what we are going to do is let's copy this. Then close this first. And let's CD to the desktop. Tools. Okay. And Hayabusa. Run Hayabusa. So we are using this command, a CSV timeline. We want to extract all the results into a CSV file format so that later on we can view it using Timeline Explorer from Eric Zimmerman. So let's execute this command. Seems that the Hayabusa is processing all this event logs. So this might take a while. So I'll be back. So this is the output from Hayabusa. So we included the Sysmon rules and results. There are unique critical detections. It gives you a different criticality from critical, high, medium detections, and top critical alerts. There's a sliver C2 implant activity pattern from the event logs. Medium, there's a file creation, registry key modification, network. And then this one, after running this Hayabusa to our workstation logs, it saves the CSV output into where you executed the command in the tools directory. So what are we going to do next is we're going to import the CSV file into the Timeline Explorer to identify if there are any instances of a zip file and to identify which user downloaded the zip file and to get the answer for question number 1. So opening Timeline Explorer might take a while since I think this is some kind of a heavy application. So we're going to open that CSV file into this tool. So we have Timeline Explorer here. We're going to open the desktop tools and the CSV file. So we have successfully imported the CSV file to our Timeline Explorer. And as you can see here, there's a detection, a rule title here, which this gives us an overview of what Hayabusa detected in our logs. So there's a malicious PowerShell created scheduled task. That's interesting. Since our question reveals that we need to find a zip file, we're going to that zip find suspicious invoke web requests. Okay, we're going to find anything. Okay. So, yep. So we have Ruth and Wendy file path that contains a financial report 2024.zip. So I think we can brute force the answer between Ruth and Wendy. So let's try. Oh wait, okay, Ruth. Oh, what Wendy? Nice. So we got our first question. So for question number 2, the file type has been abused by the threat group Kimsuki, aka APT43 Velvet Holima, since 2024. Provide the name of the malicious file. Okay, I mean, yeah, all right. So provide the malicious file. I think it is we are tasked to identify the file itself. So I think the financial report 2024 zip and shall report 2024 that zip financial report 2024 zip financial report. Right. There's another file here. Okay. So the question is, the file type has been abused by a threat group Kimsuki, aka APT43. Okay, let's do a quick research about what uh, Kimsuki, and yeah, we can find anything about the file type. So I guess we have to resort looking at the results of the CSV file. So we have Wendy, right? So Wendy downloaded the financial report, that's zip, and I think this one contains the financial report 2024.msc. Okay, that's new. Okay, how about we change? E? Yeah, sweet, perfect. Let's proceed to question number 3. So, we when the user clicked the link from a malicious file, a PowerShell command was triggered to download a payload from a command and control server. Provide the IP address of the C2 server. Okay, since we are tasked to find a C2 command communication, so I think we have here right in front of us. So 192.168.42.131. Perfect. So question number 4, the payload was initially blocked by Windows Defender. Name the signature of the threat. Okay, for this one, I think we need to go back outside or here again. I think we need to find something that that will take us to the rule name. So let's do tracking. First, Wendy downloads a financial report that's zip. It extracted a financial report 2024.msc file, which then executes a PowerShell command, which gets OneDrive.exe from this server. So I think we need to use this OneDrive.exe as a filter to identify if Windows Defender identify that file malicious or not. So OneDrive.exe, fine, and of course, going back to the rule title here. So OneDrive.exe rule title or I think drive that OneDrive. OneDrive. Okay. Or Defender. Defender. You can go back to the OneDrive.exe, and then we can sort the level into look for critical. So, okay, so we have this Defender alert. Okay, threat. Sliver. I think this one. Question is, provide the name of this. No. Name the signature of the threat. So it's a Trojan Win32 suspicious golang.ag. Okay. Trojan Win32 suspicious golang.ag. Sweet. Perfect. So let's proceed with question number 5. So the file establishes persistence by creating a scheduled task. Provide the name of this scheduled task. Okay, so I think we need to go back into the zip file. Zip. Then for I think we need to use SCH task. Okay. We are tasked to identify the persistence. So using scheduled tasks. So we use the SCH task as filter since it's a native Windows command for creating a Windows scheduled task. So here we can identify the task name, OneDrive security task, right after the /en, which means task name. So the answer is OneDrive security task. Great. Let's proceed with question number 6. To identify the name of the command and control server, C2, tool used by threat actors to manage their malicious operations. So we have found, right, I think here we identified that there are entries to the top critical alerts from Hayabusa. It uses a sliver C2 implant. I think sliver. Yeah, perfect. So question number 7. So a few minutes after the initial infection, the threat actor engaged in hands-on keyword activity for domain reconnaissance. Specify the timestamp in UTC for the first executed command. Okay, so I think it mentioned that domain reconnaissance. I think we need to move into the artifacts, the domain controller artifacts. Okay, so sorry, we are still here in the workstation since this is the first initial level 1 compromise. So probably this endpoint is used to identify any endpoint using CMD or any reconnaissance tool. So we filter out the domain. So it returns all this domain reconnaissance commands. Net1 group, blah, blah, blah. So the thing is, Since we have filtered the level of criticality from crit, it mess up with our timestamp. So the thing is, we are tasked to identify about the first executed command. So the thing here is we need to filter. Yep, I think need to find the domain. Sorry. So the first command that was executed, right? So we are going to find that. So we filtered it, and what we are interested in, since this is a lot to process, so we need to identify the command line. I think this is the first command line. 4688 is process creation. So we have here the attacker execute at netexec group domain admins from Wendy, which yeah. So for this, I think here copy. Don't think copy the value here. So what we'll do is we're going to type it manually and 04 15 34 20. Perfect. All right, let's proceed to the question number 8. This was followed by the dumping of LSS process using the initial C2 implant. Provide the process ID of the source process. Okay. So we are tasked to identify the dumping of LSS process using C2 implant. Provide the process ID of the source process. Okay, I think we need to use LSS as nothing here. Okay, sorry, domain group main dumping of LSS. Take a look. Main. Cool. Okay, let's cross this out. Use the details. LSS.exe here. Okay. Okay. Have still the domain. So we are tasked to identify the process. So dumping. Here we have record. Credential dumping. Okay. Let's sort the criticality. High. Right. Credential. Let's do readings here. Credential dumping, right? We are here, the OneDrive, I think. So OneDrive exit performs a credential dumping, technique 1T1003. And this one, the attacker we assume is having obtain a system privilege, which is really scary. So I think we have found the source bid 10840 10840. Perfect. So see the question number 9. During their discovery activities within the network using Windows utilities that like NL test.exe and net.exe, the threat actor found a privileged user login sessions informed in the scenario, escalate their privilege and bypass defenses. The attacker injected a command and control C to implement into a legitimate process, identify the process ID. Okay. So for question number 9, we are tasked to identify a privilege escalation using injection, process injection to bypass defenses. So into a legitimate process, identify the process ID. So for this one, we search for a keyword injection, which gives us the any strings that contains injection in our CSV file. And also we have resorted to identify OneDrive.exe since this is our C2 implant, right? So we have interesting finding here. We open it. So the technique called T10555001 dynamic link library injection. So this is a DLL injection detected by Hayabusa or Sysmon. And OneDrive exe, which is from Ruth, injected itself into the MS Edge.exe. So the target PID is the source PID is 9056. I think that's our answer, 9056. Perfect. Okay, let's proceed to question number. Let's clear this up. Right. Question number 10. So threat actors attempted to move laterally to the domain controller during the initial attempt. The service was detected by Windows Defender AV. Provide the name of the service. So from here, since back to question number 4, you can copy this one. Since we are tasked to identify the service was detected by Windows AV, right? Windows Defender AV. So we are going to use the details here as okay, Trojan Win32 or let's say Trojan. Open this one to the service. Okay, I think we got nothing. Okay. Let's go back to the zip file or OneDrive. OneDrive. Oh my goodness. Happening here. Fine. Fine. Critical. So Defender alert. Create. Find. Service. Service. Deal we have here. Threat. Okay, how about use the threat as thing. Yes. Okay. Have anything? So the question is, threat actor attempted to move laterally to the domain controller. During the initial attempt, the service was detected by the Windows Defender AB. By the name of the service. Okay. Let's try to filter the service. Okay, we don't have about one service. Okay, interesting. OneDrive. Service file permission weakness. Nope. one that we requested. Okay. Let's filter this out again. So for question number 10, since we can't find anything in the Timeline Explorer, we resort to inspect manually the logs from the workstation, right? So we are tasked to identify the threat actor attempted to move laterally to the domain controller. During the initial attempt, the service was detected by Windows Defender AV. Provide the name of the service. So we open the Microsoft Windows Defender operational, which has 149 logs. And we are interested with the event ID 1117, which means that the anti-malware platform performed an action to protect your system from the malware and potential unwanted software. Since this matched our the question, which the service was detected by Windows Defender AV. All right, so it means it returns a code or error code that Windows Defender AV detected something, and we are tasked to provide the name of the service. Okay, from here we can see the Trojan suspicious Golang severity Trojan, and the service is in tune. Okay, I think that's the answer. But let's check for any additional information here. So the user is system quarantined operation successfully. Okay, means that the Windows Defender AV successfully detected the attack. Okay, I think the answer is in tune. Okay, let's try that one. In tune. Perfect. Right. So let's proceed with question number 11. So for question number 11, so the threat actor ultimately succeeded in pivoting to domain controller, identified the name of the account used by the attacker for this action. So this means that the attacker successfully leveraged from level 1 compromise to level 2, which is the domain controller. So the artifacts that we need to identify to answer this question is the event ID 4624, which is the successful log on the DC. So what we're going to do next is to identify the logs inside the DC artifacts, C, Windows, System 32, Win event, and we are interested in the security, this one, okay. I think this one, or can be, but we will resort using security events. Search. Okay, so we have here the security. We have 9,441. We will do a filtering. And filter current logs. Actually, we can use PowerShell to identify, to parse this event logs. But that's it differs from your preference on how you can solve this answer. I mean, this is not a straightforward approach. You can use your own. You can use automation. You can use PowerShell. You can use command line, Hayabusa, and everything that stuff. So 4624 filter. Okay. And my bad. I think since this is a domain controller, I think we need to use a filters 4672, which is a special privilege assigned to new logon. Filter 4672 Perfect. So what we have here is yeah, I think we need to inspect this one. Okay, log on for this system, DC. So for question number 11, the threat actor ultimately succeeded in pivoting to the domain controller. So first, let's go back. First, a user Wendy was compromised and opened a malicious phishing email with attachment, and this attachment zip file contains another file that downloads a file from a C2 server, which then turns into a OneDrive.exe. Then after that, the threat actor plans to pivot into the domain controller, but it failed because it was detected by Windows Defender. That's why. But eventually, if you follow along the questions, the threat actor ultimately succeeded in pivoting to the domain controller. And remember that the threat actor has a system privilege in the Wendy or Ruth endpoint or the workstation, which means they can do everything, filtering all those. They can dump the LSS, which we have seen from the previous questions. That the threat actor has the capability to extract all the hashes in the workstation, since this workstation is part of the DC1 Ozark domain, which means that if the threat actor has a system privilege in the system, they can easily extract all the hashes and use pass the hash or pass the session or pass the ticket command or attack in the domain controller. So we since checking manually this event logs from the DC 4672 requires a lot of time, and it is like you manually do this thing, it will take you forever to find any additional users. So good thing we have PowerShell here, and one of the use of the PowerShell is you can filter out the logs and return the desired outputs. So let's talk about the one-liner command I use to inspect this 4672 event ID. So we use the get win event module from PowerShell, which targets the security path from the security event logs from the domain controller artifacts. And we filter all the 4672, and we use a for each loop for the value of the 4672, which returns all the um, subject username or unique. So we eliminate all the duplicates. So we have the DC01 account, system, administrator, local service, DWM1, network service, and Ruth accounts that was used to connect to the domain controller. Right. So going back to the question, since the attacker has system privilege on the workstation, it is most likely that they captured the hash of the administrator or any user from the domain and use that credentials, use that information to pivot to the domain controller. So most likely, given the format, it's not Ruth and it's not a network service, it's not DC1. So we assume that this is the administrator. Perfect, right? So going back to the questions, we are in the last question of the lab. So the attacker returned to the beachhead and attempted to execute commands using popular IDE platform. This technique was recently used by Chinese Advanced Persistent Threat Group to carry out cyber espionage. Provide the executed command. So for this one, I think we need to do some OSINTs in the Chinese APT using IDE. Okay. So we are here in the unit 42, which is a well-known threat intelligence team from Palo Alto Networks. So we have identified the Chinese APT abuses VS Code to target governments in Asia. So this is, I think, the same threat group. Okay, so we are tasked to identify any commands. So we search for rare visual studio abuse, portable hacker code exe, executable file for VS Studio Code, or an old version of running the command code exe the tunnel. Attacker receives a link that requires them to log in into the GitHub with their own account. Guess this one, code exe tunnel. Sweet. Right. We have finished the lab. Ozarks, a medium difficulty SOC lab from Blue Team Labs Online Trick or Threat 2024. This is a really interesting lab provided with interesting tool how to use Hayabusa. I think the usage of Hayabusa introduced in this lab is quite basic. You can visit Hayabusa in GitHub to look for any other usage of this tool, which is this is quite a like a popular tool in a incident response field. So yeah, I think we are good. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to never miss a video. In the meantime, remember to join us on Discord and tune in every Friday at 6 p.m. UTC for BTLO Replay. Thanks everyone and see you next time.